You are never too low for the hand of God to lift you back up. You have an amazing 3 minutes to change your life. By the age of 7, Grammy Award winner Larry Gatlin, the oldest of the 3 Gatlin brothers, was already joining their younger brothers Steve and Rudy in singing at family and church events. Little did he know that years later, known as the legendary Gatlin Brothers, they would tour the world performing their #1 hits. Like his songs, he was on top of the world until addiction took over. It wasn't until a friend pulled him aside and said, "Larry, it's time to turn the page." And he did just that. This is his story. This is today's Nashville. This is faith. Larry Gatlin, what an honor and blessing for me to sit down in your beautiful home. I met your lovely wife.
Is that who that was? I wondered who that woman was wandering around here.
I want to, first question, what's it like to live with Larry Gatlin?
Ask her. I tell people she's either made out of asbestos or Teflon. I'm not sure. She's the most spiritual, wonderful human being I've ever known. And I mean that. I'm not, a lot of people. Solid. She's my rock. Do you remember Louis? You're probably way too young. Louis Prima and Keely Smith, husband and wife. Okay, Louis. They were a Vegas act, and they're friends with Sinatra and all those people out there. And Louis was nuts. I mean, he had a guitar and he'd play saxophone for a while, and Keely would just stand there and kind of scratch and sing, and they were great. And it was the yin and the yang, salt and pepper, hot and cold. And the more it seems like the more manic and confusing or not confusing even, but just scattered things are, that's when my brain and my mind does this, and it focuses. That's it. I lived in chaos in my life. Wonderful parents, God bless them. A Marine oil field daddy and a Pentecostal piano playing mama, and 4 kids singing in Pentecostal churches and moving all over. So as the firstborn, they used to say family hero. I don't think that's true. But it was part of my gig was to try to keep order in that kind of disorderly, wonderful, chaotic house. So that's good with me. And she's the rock. Janice is the rock.
And so, you've been married for how long now?
53 years. Luckiest broad in Tennessee. I probably can't say that on gospel TV. She's my rock.
I know. Let's go back to your childhood, and how did you get into singing and how you moved forward in the group of the Gatlin Brothers?
Well, our maternal grandfather, Clib, C-L-I-B, Doan, everybody called him Teapot. He worked for Harry Sinclair, for Sinclair Oil Company, and back in the 20s when the Teapot Dome scandal, the oil dome out in Wyoming, one of the great, huge first big scandals, he worked for Harry Sinclair, and Sinclair Oil Company was involved. Everybody started calling him Teapot. So we all called him Papa, the grandkids, but he was a great singer. They had what they call singing conventions. You'd go to church on Sunday morning, have the service. They called it all day singing and dinner on the ground. After the first church service, they'd go for an hour or two, spread a quilt or a blanket or something. They had brought food, chicken, stuff with them. They'd eat, take a little nap, go back in, and they'd pass out songbooks from the Stamps Baxter Music Company. Stamps Baxter put out a new songbook every year with Albert E. Brumley and C.C. Stafford, these old, "I will meet you in the morning, I'll fly away," And they were what they call shape notes. They're not like just regular quarter, half. They had actual shapes, triangles, square, circles. And not only could you read the music from the interval where the note was, you could recognize the shapes. It's hard to explain, but he was an expert at that. He was a great singer. The day he died at 83, he could hit a high B flat, boop, just, drive a nail. So from him, saved his money, got piano lessons for my mother and her little brother, my late great Uncle James. And Mama would sit down there and struggle with it and play it, and Uncle James would look over the end of the piano, and he'd sit down and just, he was a savant. And Mother was a great Pentecostal piano player. So from that, growing up, The first time I really remember singing, Daddy put me up on the bar. There was a little steak joint. It's still there in Lowakey. It's called Lowakey Steakhouse near Ballinger, Texas. And took me out to work with him. I was 3. Took me out with a crew. I went everywhere with him. Put me up on that bar, put a nickel in the jukebox, and played Hey Good Looking, Hank Williams. And I sat there and played it. And when the brothers came along, we loved gospel music, the old Blackwood Brothers, that was Elvis's favorite group from Memphis, and the Statesman Quartet from Atlanta. Those became my first heroes. We learned to sing from that, and we were literally 2, 4, and 6. We won a little singing contest in the 2, 4, and 6 division, because we were the only ones in the 2, 4, and 6 division. In Abilene, Texas, an old boy heard us, a guy named Slim Willett, had a TV show, local TV show in Abilene. His real name was Winston Moore. And he was a good little country singer and had a very popular TV show. But he wrote one song. Don't let the stars get in your eyes. Don't let the stars. I was a little flat. Don't let the stars get in your eyes. Don't let the stars get in your eyes. Don't let the moon break your heart. All that. So we on there and just started singing around in church. I've never known anything else. People say, do you get nervous? I said, no, I get excited. Nervous means you're going to mess up.
You have been around the world. #1 hits. You're one of the groups that got me into country music.
Are you happy about that?
Yes, I love it. Yes.
Good. We've been blessed. Steve and Rudy, people tell me at night, and I'm very grateful, we are at 100%, we can sing the way we did 40 years. People say, you sounded like you did 40 years ago. I said, is that good or bad? Because some people sound like they did 40 years ago and still wasn't any good.
You're celebrating your 65 years, is that what
I think 67.
6 years? Oh, 67.
I'll be 74 in May, and I was 6 and a half the first time we walked on stage, so that, however many that is.
Well, tell me about, coming to Nashville and your career and how it exploded.
Well, I tell people, I have failed my way all the way to the top and right back down to the middle. And the middle is just fine by me. So many things in our lives come from disappointments, things that didn't happen. Having to move from Abilene, where we were stars, and the Abilene Eagles football team that I love, and Erica Brown. Oh, third Erica Brown. Well, I don't need Erica Brown. But from there, we had to move to Odessa. I tried out, I didn't get to go to Permian High School in Odessa, where Friday Night Lights came from that. I went to the other school. We're 2-1 against them, by the way, when I was the quarterback. But I didn't get to marry Nancy Rayner, but look what I got. And Nancy's still a great friend of mine, But it seems like from those, went to Vegas. I was a waiter at Steak and Ale in Houston on the Gulf Freeway, and got somebody told me that the Imperials gospel group needed a baritone singer. I called them, went out there, tried out for the job, didn't get the job, but I met Dottie West. She said, you look enough like Mickey Newberry, you've got to be able to write a song. I wrote a little song in her dressing room one night that was awful, and she said, write me some songs, I'll try to help you. Went home to Houston, wrote 8 songs, sent them to her. She sent me a plane ticket, and we moved to Nashville. 5 years later, I won that Grammy for Song of the Year. And that's how it happened. I failed my way to the top.
It's amazing. We're going to talk about it when we come back, of how you just exploded on the scene.
All right,
we'll be right back.
Okie dokie.